So we're back talking about the local real estate market. I'm going to talk next about three things to consider before putting your home on a short-term rental website like VRBO or Airbnb, HomeAway, FlipKey, Craigslist. There's so many different websites out there that you can advertise your home on. And I've stayed, when we travel, we like to do that more. So, if we're going to stay somewhere for a week, we'd rather do that than stay in a hotel.
Right.
So I think there's great benefit to it because I think certain people will pay a premium for it. But there's definitely some obstacles and challenges with that. I think the first thing I would tell people is, the legality. A lot of municipalities are coming down upon some of these. You've got municipalities in Pinellas County that are going after Airbnb and VRBO, and they don't want them there. They want them to stay residential. They don't want to turn into a tourist hotspot with a bunch of transients, as they think of them. So you got to make sure it's okay in the municipality or the HOA, as well as I think sometimes mortgages. I always think of things like there's what a mortgage lender says you can't do, and it's like the speed limit. What they say the speed limit is, and at what point will they actually pull you over? Like mortgages, for example. If you buy a home and get a mortgage on it, and then turn it into a VRBO or an Airbnb, and you didn't say that it was going to be a rental property. You said it was going to be a second home. It starts to get into that gray area about
Right.
what's considered a second home, and so you have to be really careful. You never know if they could, look into that. And again, I don't think they do. I think as long as you keep making your payments, they're happy.
Right.
But the reality is that they could, because you sign documents attesting to what your use for the property is. But you definitely got to pay attention to the legality of it. Do your research and make sure there aren't any restrictions within the homeowners association or within the, even if there's nothing in the HOA, that doesn't mean the city or the county or the town doesn't have something, preventing it. Taxes, you definitely want to talk to, a CPA about what is considered taxable for you. Depending on whether or not you rent it and how much you use it, depends on, whether or not it's seen as a residence or a rental property by the IRS. So, no matter what, everybody's tax situations are always different, but it can be really confusing, and taxes are an important one. And I don't just mean taxes from a standpoint of your personal income from it, but whether or not any sales, occupancy, or lodging taxes could be due, because some municipalities have that too, and they're going after them for that because they're skating the hotel, rules. And then additional costs. You're going to pay someone service fees. You're going to have different liability coverage. So paying attention to those additional costs, could be really important. So, make sure that you're really paying attention to the insurance side of it, because, again, if you've got a homeowner occupant policy, and then, you have somebody in there and they do some major damage or cause some problem, and then the insurance adjuster pulls up VRBO and sees your home's, you got reviews and your home's been rented 27 times, you may get the claim denied.
Right, yeah, that was the one I was going to mention, is to be sure you got your insurance squared away. Just for that reason, if someone is there and tears up the home, or if they get hurt, you want to make sure that your coverage will allow for whatever you got going on there. That way you're not personally responsible for it.
Yeah, and some of the websites give some liability protection. They add people as an additional insured. I think Airbnb has a policy where they give you some insurance as part of their processor fee. So, but it's different with every site. And I think the one part about renting to a long-term tenant is you get a little bit more information about them.
Right.
So you're able to run credit. You're looking at a lot of information about them in terms of their integrity, their credibility, things like that. In a lot of these short-term rental situations, you got no idea who's in your house. You don't know what they're doing. You don't know who they have over. You don't know what kind of crime they're committing.
Right.
There's just a lot of things that can happen. That you get a deposit, and there's a credit card. There's a way to pursue and all that kind of stuff, but there's also greater risk, I think, in not having the ability for you to screen the person. There's also a nuisance side of it. One of the nice parts about owning long-term rentals is you get somebody in there, and hopefully they stay. Mm-hmm. With the seasonal Airbnb type stuff, even if you hire somebody, just a constant progression of people coming and going, which can cause obstacles. And I think it varies too. you know, it seems to me that the higher price you go, the less likely you are to have damage, but the more expensive that damage can be.
Right.
You know, so I stayed in a lot of Airbnbs, and we stay in some nice ones, and I can't remember seeing any damage in any of them or anything that's concerning, but they're usually, you know, higher end properties. Whereas, you know, if we were Airbnb and staying in, you know, maybe an average price property, maybe something would be different. So, well, anyway, that's our chat about Airbnb and VRBO. Make sure to check out all of our socials at the Duncan Duo for more information on this. We'll share the video from the show and the podcast. And we'll be back after a quick break here on 970 WFLA.